Now that we've finished with 3, let's move on to 4. I'm going to open up my papers here, zoom it out so you can see what we've got, and we'll bring it back in. On number 4, you can see I haven't helped you very much, so we're going to do that mostly on your own. You will do that mostly on your own. Let's take a look at the isometric view. So you're standing in front, you look at the front, you would identify this as plane A, because we always identify the isometric view first. The right side would be plane B. All right, now we're going to call the top plane C. So we study the image, the object. We're going to build the front view first. And we say, okay, we're going to count the blocks wide and tall here to build in your front view. So I'll count up my blocks. I'll count over and up. Now don't let this angled plane here mess you up, because if you were to try to count from this point down on this angled plane, it would not make sense if you also tried to count across and up. So that being said, this is hugely important. You never count blocks on an angled plane. I cannot stress that point enough. You never count blocks on an angled plane. Okay. At this point, do I know the angle of this plane, what degree angle it is? No, and it really doesn't matter to me because I have the individual points that I need. So the only thing I'm going to have to do is simply connect those two dots to form that angled plane. And there I have it. Before we move on, let's identify this line and this line. And now we're going to build our top view and our right side view. If we take a moment and look back at our previous problems, how many blocks did we skip between our front view and our top view and our front view and our right side view? As you look, you'll notice that we skipped 1 block between each of those views. We didn't put them right together and we didn't skip a huge distance, just enough to be able to know that there's 3 separate views. So what we're going to do now in 4 is we're going to skip 1 block between the views. Again, another important point for you to remember when you're building these. You skip only 1 block between views. So I go to the highest point of my front view, I skip a block, and I can now begin building my top view. As I go to count up, I can see that I'm 3 blocks tall. And if I were to count down on this angled plane here, I would count 11 blocks, which would take me 8, 9, 10, 11, all the way out to there. And you'd look at it and say, well, hey, there's a rectangle, right? Those 4 points are going to help me form a rectangle. And I'm supposed to have a rectangle. However, the width of your front view must always equal the width of your top view. Since the width of my top view does not equal the width of my front view, it cannot be right. Impossible to be right. The width of my front view is always the same as the width of my top view. And the reason for that is because that plane, plane C, is angled. So even though it may seem to you like you're looking at all of plane C, you're only seeing a portion of it because you're not seeing the full plane. That plane is being tilted or twisted on its side. So you only get to see a portion of that plane as opposed to the thing if you're looking at it at a perpendicular or 90-degree angle. So that is plane C. The length of C in the front view as we go straight up is the same as C in the top view. Take a minute to digest that. Let's move on to the right side view then.